Stephen, the Intergetic Forum is a new organization. Can you tell us about it and how it relates to the Internet of Things ecosystem?
Sure. The Intergetic Forum is intended to be a group that works on privacy rules and standards. Ultimately, all of these IoT devices are going to generate data, which will then bubble up and be delivered to a personal assistant in the home, which will then act as the user interface for the home. But what we have to be able to do is take all this merged data and treat it with the respect that it deserves. We have to make sure that everybody is operating by the same rules of play in terms of how do we handle the data, what data is legitimately collected. But it goes beyond that too. We also want to be able to handle the questions of data integrity. For instance, if I provide data from an inexpensive health monitor and provide that into the personal assistant, it will generate bad recommendations for the consumer. So we want to be able to make sure that the data integrity that's going into the personal assistant is of a uniformly high quality. These are the things that the Intergetic Forum is designed to address.
So why is there a need for something like the Intergetic Forum, and why is the void that you're filling not already occupied by some sort of architecture or structure to manage privacy?
This is really being done, the smart home is being constructed on an ad hoc type of a basis. But if you think about it logically as if it were a system architecture that we were building, it'd be sort of layers. You start off because you have to instrument everything. We start deploying individual devices everywhere. Then the next level is we take a piece of software that runs specific applications for energy, for home security, and they make sense of the information coming from all of these sensors. But at the layer above that, we start having data exchange and we have personal assistance. So we've reached a point in the evolution of the smart home where it now becomes necessary to deal with data and to start addressing the problems. If we had tried to introduce these type of standards and these types of issues before, while we were still working on hard devices, it wouldn't make sense. The market wouldn't be ready for it. But at this point, because we're moving toward personal assistance fairly rapidly, and we'll see those emerging as whole home devices in the next year or two, now is the time to start dealing with the standards on privacy as well.
Do you not feel that the existing players in the Internet of Things marketplace are managing this properly? Is there a need for control?
This is very clearly a gap. We've seen a lot of activity and standards at that lowest level, getting the wireless communications right. We've seen the OCF, Open Connectivity Forum, begin to deal with the questions of how do we get the applications harmonized so that they can exchange devices between them. But there is no other SIG at this moment, no other standards organization that's meaningfully addressing the questions of privacy, data handling, data trading, and data integrity.
Is it possible that people's privacy is being abused at the moment?
I think that would be probably a reasonably fair thing to say, is that if you look at the statistics from companies like Trusty, they very clearly say that a large percentage, more than 90% of customers are concerned about the way their privacy is being handled on the internet and other places. And an increasing number of people are beginning to change their behavior online and other places because of the problems associated with privacy. Now, as we move to microphones in the home with devices like Echo, and we start moving to cameras in the home like devices that do gesture recognition like the Xbox, suddenly we open up some very large holes in the opportunity to abuse privacy.
Right.
And it's time that we start standardizing and setting a reasonable code of conduct about how we handle these things.
So when you're out there talking to companies, Stephen, do you find you're pushing against an open door? Are organizations aware of the need to manage privacy correctly? Are they ready to engage with you?
If we go back to that layer cake kind of analogy for a second, the companies that are operating, building, and making their business out of the sensors really don't engage with data a lot and don't really perceive the problems associated with it. So they won't see the need that dramatically. Conversely, though, if you look at the players that are working at the system levels, the automotive manufacturers and companies like that, they're going to have a much more vigorous interaction cross market sector. For instance, the automobile manufacturers are going to draw content from the television players in the home, and they're going to have to interact with their electric vehicles with the power companies. And so these guys see the interaction that we're enabling with the common privacy. And they are very clearly open and very clearly recognizing of the problem we're trying to solve. So it's a differentiated group of people depending upon who you're talking to.
So this is clearly an extremely important topic for the industry to be addressing. What should those companies who are aware of this and are ready to engage do now?
Obviously, what we need to do is build a core group of people who are capable and knowledgeable in this space. We need to have experts who have domain expertise on handling specific use cases, people who have dealt with advertising and know what data is needed there, people who've dealt with things like GPS and understand the variances and accuracy that might come from those kinds of analysis. And we need those people to get involved in the SIG at the earliest point possible and start contributing to building the standards that we'll use and go forward. And for that, we have a website set up, www.intergetic.org, and we'd like you to go there for a little extra information and for contact details.
Thank you, Stephen, and I wish the Intergetic Forum the best of luck.
Thank you very much.